So good morning, this is Rhonda Olsen from Women Shine, and today we're doing our first Zoom lesson in Feldenkrais, or I'm doing my first Zoom lesson in Feldenkrais. So I've had a little bit of mucking around trying to work out how I can see everybody, and so if you come on next week, and you'll need to have practice seeing how do you put the computer so that on the side of you about 1 to 2 meters away, so that you can see all of your body, so that I'll be able to see you on the floor doing the lessons. So today we're going to be doing a lesson, how do we come into the eye of the storm? And in a Feldenkrais way, we look at the body as moving in a spiral. So this body spirals in one direction and it spirals in the other direction. And when these spirals come together, then we can generate our power effortlessly. So this lesson is called Reaching and Pushing to Generate Power Effortlessly. And as well as sending you the recording, I'll also send you a little transcript of the lesson as well. So you'll have it and you'll be able to do it again. And if you want to do it without the recording, then you can look at the notes. So just come and lie on the floor. Just feel how you're lying on the floor now. And if you need some support under your head, if you feel like your chin's tilting back too far, or you can't breathe into your belly, just have some little support under your head. And as you go through the lesson, you may find that you can remove that support, but just see how you go. So just notice, first of all, notice, are you comfortable with your legs long? And if you're not, bend up your knees so your feet are flat on the floor. And if you're feeling you're comfortable with your legs long, feeling how the heels touch the floor, notice how the soles of your feet touch the floor. If your feet are bent up, notice the soles of the feet on the floor. Notice your knees, whether the knees are lifted off the floor, touching the floor. Feel your thighs. Notice the weight in your buttocks. Is one buttock heavier on the floor than the other? Notice the space behind your waist. Could a little ant crawl under there, or an elephant maybe? And notice the lower ribs touching the floor. Feeling how your shoulders are resting on the floor. Notice is one shoulder feeling a little bit heavier on the floor than the other, or does it spread out a little bit more on the floor than the other one? And feeling how your arms are resting on the floor. And notice the point of contact of your head on the floor. And in these noticing of ourselves, it's just to notice, just with kindness and compassion, just to be curious about how you are at the moment, how you're coming to the floor. So what we've just done is what's called a scan in Feldenkrais, and it just is a way of coming back to yourself, just bringing yourself into the present moment, out of wherever you're concerned about before this morning. Like I've been concerned about how am I going to do this Facebook Live, or there's not even a Zoom meeting. So and now, the main thing I was worried about was the technology of how getting people on here, but now that's all sorted out. So I can settle, come back into myself. And so when we're getting anxious and uptight, so we just settle on the floor, just feel ourselves. And that brings us back into the present moment. And just notice in particular your breathing, the length of your in-breath and the length of your out-breath. And notice where you breathe, or if you breathe, does your body move as you breathe? Some people are belly breathers and will breathe down in the belly. Some people may breathe more up into their chest. Just noticing. And noticing, is there's one side of you, if you think of the right side and your left side, do they feel any different? Is one side heavier on the floor than the other? Just put your hand up if you feel like you're heavier on one side than the other. Just raise your hand so I can see. Yeah, for most of us, we are a little bit. That's just where things happen, and we use our bodies in ways. And looking at the computer, which most of us are at these days, we're using the mouse, and so our body adopts the structure and functioning of whatever action we're doing. So the lesson that we're going to be doing today is one of my favourite lessons. It was, I first did this with a wonderful trainer called Basil Glazer, and he had such a deep voice, and I used to go to sleep sometimes in his lessons, so don't be surprised if you if you do go to sleep. It's just your nervous system calibrating what's happening. And so you'll wake up, and especially now you've got the recording, you'll be able to go over it again. So just bend up your right knee, place your right foot flat on the floor. And just tilt your knee a little bit towards the midline and back to neutral again. And slowly towards the midline and back to neutral. And maybe place your hands on your inner thigh muscles, just at the top of your, where the groin is, and just put your hand there and just notice as you take your knee in, as you bend your knee in, what happens to those muscles? Can you feel as you bend your knee in that those muscles engage a little bit? Just put your hand up if you can feel that. Yeah, okay. And then if you take your knee the other way and place your hand on the outside of your leg, and feel how those muscles will start to engage. So the muscles, our skeleton is like it's a structure, and it's the bones, and it has the ability to stand on its own, like you balance things like little blocks, one on top of the other. So when we're in balance, our skeleton, our muscles on either side are balancing evenly. So just move your knee from one side to the other, just very gently, very slowly, to notice, can you find a place somewhere in the middle where your leg is just balancing? The muscles on the inside of your leg aren't engaging, and the muscles on the outside of your leg aren't engaging. You're in this neutral place, like the neutral gears in your car. You're in this neutral place. And notice and maybe just experiment with, where do you need to put your foot on the floor? Do you need to have your foot closer to you? Do you need to have it further away? And just notice where could you just balance this foot on the floor, this knee rather in the air, so that you find that place where. And even just if you think you've got the right place, just even experiment, just try different places. So our nervous system learns by differences. And so we come somewhere and they say, oh no, that doesn't feel right. And somewhere else, oh, that feels better. So you're just finding the place where your knee can be in neutral and your leg can be in neutral. And as you bend your knee in towards the midline, the force of gravity starts to take over. And just let that happen. Let your knee bend a little bit more in towards the midline, and notice what happens to that right buttock. Can you feel as you bend your knee in towards the midline that the right buttock lifts a little bit off the floor? And can you do this movement so that just the buttock lifts, your ribs don't move, so you're not going so far that your ribs are part of that movement. So just you're moving your knee in towards the midline so that the right buttock lifts up off the floor. And you may notice as you take your knee into the midline and the right buttock lifts up off the floor, that your left buttock presses a little bit more into the floor. And then let yourself just come back, like let your body just release back. And this is a very important part of what we do in the Feldenkrais. The releasing back, coming back home is really important. So especially in these times when we're stressed and uptight, and this tension is just, it's going on and on and on. It's not just one day and we can relax, but it's just there all the time. So how do we find ways of releasing, surrendering, coming back to ourselves and settling back into our bodies? So it's letting the knee move to the side and allowing the knee to move downwards in the direction of your other foot. So you're getting a little bit more of a twist, and you'll feel it as you do this. Now can you invite the ribs on the right side to lift off the floor as well? And then come back to neutral, letting yourself just settle back like sand in an hourglass, settling back into neutral. And pushing through that foot again, feeling how the right side of your buttock lifts, the ribs on the right side start to move. And you may feel that on the left side, your left buttock presses into the floor, and your left leg may even just roll a little bit more to the left. And as you do that, the ribs on the left side come a little bit closer to the floor. And can you keep your shoulders on the floor and your head in the middle? So if you let your shoulders and your head move, what you'll do is just turn. But we're not doing a turning movement. We're wanting to do a twisting movement. So you're pressing through the foot, your right buttock's lifting. You feel how your spine starts to twist. The ribs on the right side lift. And you may notice that your breastbone starts to move. The bottom of your breastbone moves first. And it kind of like comes to the side a little bit. And I'll put this in the speaker view. So you're just coming to the side a little bit. So you're pushing through the foot. The right side of your buttock lifts. The left side of your buttock presses into the floor. The ribs lift a little bit on the right. The ribs on the left press further into the floor. And your sternum, the bottom of your sternum moves a little bit to the right. Okay, and just have a little rest. Let your legs come long if you're comfortable with that. If you are, otherwise, if you problems in your lower back, just keep your knees bent up. And just sense how you're lying on the floor again now. I'm going to come back to C. And notice, is there any change in how you're coming to the floor? Maybe you feel a little bit heavier on the floor, on that right side, maybe. Your breathing is a little bit different. Just put your hand up if you notice any difference in how you're lying on the floor. Yeah, okay. And if you don't notice any difference yet, it's only just beginning. So we've got a lot more little movements to do. Okay, bend up your right knee again. And again, do this little movement of pressing your foot into the floor, taking your knee across to the midline and letting the knee go in the direction of your other foot. So your buttock, and just purposely push a little bit further in with your foot this time. So you get this nice lengthening through your body, feeling how the right side of your pelvis lifts. And you may even feel that your shoulders are resting on the floor and these ribs are moving, sliding across your shoulder blades and across and sliding underneath your collarbone. And then coming back. So this little movement in itself is a lovely little movement just to ease any tension in your back and especially around your shoulders and neck. And just doing that little movement again. And then coming back. Marion, what just I'll just unmute you. What's happening, Dee?
I'm having a bit of problem.
You've got it in with your back, yeah. You want to lie on your bed and do this, and just like imagine the movement.
All right, I'll
try. Just lie, and you don't have to do anything, and just like it, you know how to imagine. Just imagine the movements, and just without letting your body. So is your lower back sore? Is it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So maybe just bring your knees up over your chest,
right,
and just let your back just settle. Yeah.
Okie doke, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just bringing your knees up over your chest and just hugging yourself and letting.
Oh, that's a lot better.
That's a lot better. Yeah.
I'll hello there.
Yeah. And just can you bring your knees up over your chest just to let your and hold on to your knees and just do a gentle rocking. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Because of what's happening in your back, just maybe those movements were just a little bit too. And also you're one of the first here, so you're lying on the back for a long time before we even started. So yeah. Can be just soothing yourself, letting your back relax. And so sometimes when we do these lessons, it's just honoring your own body. So I'm glad you stopped, Marion, and listen to your body and you can do the movements in your imagination.
Yes.
And just even listening to my voice.
Yes.
And it will help you come back to settling into your body and feeling that that sense that you're resting and being able to settle and connect back into yourself. And just let me know if you need anything else.
Okay. Thank you, Rhonda.
Rightio. Okay. So bend up your right knee again. Is everyone else okay? You're not in any pain or anything on the floor? Okay. So this time, can you bring your right arm on the floor beside you and just brush it up just so the palm of your arm comes up over your leg. So the palm of your arm comes up over your leg and towards your groin, just up towards your waist, comes up in the direction of your waist. And then bring the pan back down again to touch the floor. So the game is that the elbow stays as much as possible close to your body and on the floor. So you're just bringing the forearm up, across your leg, across to your waist, and bring it up towards your waist, and then bringing your arm back down again and pressing down on the floor. And once more, bringing your hand up over your leg, up towards your waist. And when you come here, turn your fingers towards your chin and just bring your hand up through the midline. And then let it come back down again, keeping your hand like as if you're touching and just feeling the texture of your own shirt, and bring it back down and the skin underneath, and bring it down by your side again. So this movement makes me breathe. It just in itself is a lovely little movement to calm your nervous system. So bringing the hand up again, up over your body, bring it up towards your collarbone and up towards your chin, and see how my elbow is staying in close to my body. I'm not taking it out to the side like this. It's like a lazy movement, bringing your elbow up, close in, bring it down. By your side again, letting it settle on the floor once again. And bringing your hand up again, up over your body, up over your chest, up towards your mouth and your nose, and sliding back down again to your nose, to your mouth, your chest, up down your body, and bringing your hand back down on the floor. Letting your hand settle again. And once again, bringing your hand up over your body, just gently up over your chest, up over your chin, up over your nose, and up towards your head. And you'll feel as you do this that your elbow will leave the floor. And can you come with your forearm parallel to the floor? So you're looking at your hand and your forearm's parallel to the floor. So it's not touching your head. It's like the angle is like it's actually parallel. So it's not doing this, touching your head, it's out from your body. So it's like at a right angle there, so it's touching. And then bringing your hand back down again, coming back down towards the floor. Letting your arms settle and just noticing how that shoulder is settling on the floor, how your arm is settling on the floor now. And does anyone notice anything? Is it feeling? How's that arm feeling compared to your shoulder feeling compared to the other one? Is anyone, just put your hand up if you can notice a difference. Anything that's happening. Yeah. So just that little movement is a really lovely, I can feel my shoulders just settle down now, just resting. Yeah. Just hanging down rather than up like this because I'm worried about things. Okay. So bend up your right knee again. And beginning that, this time, let's see if we can join these two movements. So I'm going to start the little movement of pressing through your foot. The knee points in the direction of your other foot. And you'll feel a point where the pelvis will start to lift, the ribs will start to lift. And could you start bringing your hand up over your leg, up over your chest, and as your hand comes up towards your face, if you push through your foot, can you feel a point where that pushing through the foot would help your arm to reach a little bit more, but keep the palm facing towards you at the moment. Your arm isn't turned around just yet. So that the arm stays parallel to the floor and your hand reaches up. So if I can show you on the floor, for those at home. Oops. Yeah, so I've got I'm reaching with my leg and my hand comes up over my body, reaching up in front of me, and I'm pushing through and my hand just goes in that direction. So I'm pressing through the foot, feeling how the pelvis lifts, the ribs lift, my hand starts coming up over my body. And I want my shoulders to stay on the floor, which is my tendency to lift that up. So just be more mindful. The shoulder stays on the floor and the arm comes up. And I reach up through my body. Okay. And just have a little rest. That's how you're lying on the floor now. So in the Feldenkrais, we have lots of rest so that I think of the rest is in music, you hear the notes, but there's also the spaces between the notes that make the melody and the rhythm. So these rests that give your brain a chance to integrate the learning. So one of the things we're looking at in Feldenkrais is how do we wake up our body so that every part of us is involved in a movement. So if I go to reach up, I could reach by doing that and, dragging my arm, or I could reach in a spiral using my whole body. And this is what we're doing in this lesson, waking up the various parts of you so that more of you is involved in a movement and makes the movement, and the movements can be easy and effortless. Okay, so let's now do a little movement of just lifting your right arm up towards the ceiling. So it's a different movement to what we did before. And lifting your arm up towards the ceiling. And in this position, can you reach up a little bit further so that your shoulder blade lifts off the floor? So you're reaching a little bit further so your shoulder blade lifts off the floor. So our shoulder blade can often get stuck onto the ribs. And when it does, it makes the movement of our arms very difficult. So we're reaching up, and as you come back, your arm's not bending like this, your arm is staying straight. So you're reaching away and then coming back so that your shoulder blade comes closer to your spine. So as you reach away, your shoulder blade moves away from the spine. You may feel your breastbone move a little bit to the other side. And as you come back, your shoulder blade comes closer to the spine. So just a gentle little movement. And now let's come back to the other movement we did with the arm. Bend up your right knee so your right foot's on the floor. Bring your right hand up over your body again, up towards your chest, and bringing your hand up so that your forearm is parallel to the floor. Now, we're going to do a little movement now of reaching up higher. But when we do this, if you start by taking your elbow forward, can you feel if you just take your elbow forward, how your shoulder blade lifts away from your spine? Okay, so you're taking your shoulder forward. Taking your shoulder forward, okay? Now, what we're going to do now is move the shoulder blade up a little bit further, but as you do this, think of taking your shoulder blade away from your spine and then letting your arm turn. If I could go back a little bit so you can see my arm. So I'm here and I'm letting my shoulder, need to be further back. So my arm is just starting to rotate so that now my palm is facing out to the side. So, and if I lie down on the floor, I'll see if I can show you this. So here I am with my palm parallel to the floor, and I'm lifting my shoulder first and turning my arm like that. I'm just a little bit close to the wall here. So I'm lifting, and then the turning happens. And actually I want to go that direction, that there. So if I don't do that and I keep this shoulder blade fixed, what I'm going to do is try and strain my arm to do that movement. But if you think of lifting this first, and that moves out. This lifts and that lengthens. This lifts and that lengthens. Okay. Does that make sense to you? Just put your hands up if it does so I can see. And if put your hand up if it doesn't. Is that okay for you, Anne? You weren't sure. I'm going to unmute you. Hang on a second. I'm going to unmute you. Okay, I muted you. Unmute the audio. Okay. That didn't work. Okay, just that didn't work for you, Anne? Didn't understand? A little bit, yeah. You okay? All right, okay. I don't know what happened then. I tried to unmute you so I could listen to it anyway. I should be able to unmute you from here, but it's all a mystery.
I'm unmuted now,
okay.
And I'm okay. I just, I'm just getting it slowly, so I'll just
take it easy.
Mute myself again.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So good. Okay. So these movements can be challenging because we tend to brace in here, and our shoulders don't move, don't slide across the ribs so easily. So this movement. So Anne, if you just wanted to play with just even that movement itself, would be nice. And feeling as you do that, as you lift so as you come down, keep your elbows straight. See how you're letting your elbow bend. So you're taking your arm up, like reaching up with your arm, and then feeling as you do that your weight comes onto the opposite shoulder. So can you purposely reach up with the arm and bring the weight over to that opposite shoulder? You feel how that is? Okay. Now, and just do that a couple of times, thinking of reaching up and letting the weight roll over to the opposite shoulder, and even pressing through that foot for your right foot to help the weight go over to that opposite shoulder. Feeling that. And as you come down, only come down so your arm stays straight, so you're not bringing your whole arm down. So what I want you to feel is that as that feeling of the shoulder blade, and all of you can actually do this because it's, I know in my classes when I teach this lesson, that it's something quite challenging for people. So you're reaching up and your shoulder blade sliding away and the other shoulder is pressing into the floor. So especially as you push through that foot, that this shoulder that's with your watch on is pressing more into the floor. And then as you come back, the shoulder just comes down and the arm stays straight. The arm stays straight and the shoulder blade gets a chance to slide back. If you bring it down like this, see, my shoulder doesn't actually have to do anything. If I turn like this, and if I do this, reach like that, and then come back like that, I can do it just with my arm, or I can think of the elbow moving. So the shoulder blade moves. The shoulder blade moves and the shoulder blade comes back. So in Feldenkrais, we have what are called constraints. And they're kind of like, I think of like a rat maze, the rat can't go in this direction, so it has to find another way. And so Moshe Feldenkrais used to create constraints. And the constraint here is that the elbow stays straight as you do this movement to encourage the shoulder blade to move, to slide across those ribs. Is that a little bit clearer for you? Just put your hand up. You can, yeah, okay, good. Okay, so let's now bend up your right knee again and begin the movement of pressing through your foot so that the right side of your pelvis lifts, and begin to bring your hand up over your body and bring it up in front of your face, and just stay there at that point where your hand is parallel, your forearm's parallel to the floor. And now press through your foot again so that you lift that, just lifting your elbow up into the air, lifting your elbow up into the air first. And then as you do that, then let the elbow move forward so that you could spiral your arm around to reach for something behind you. So your arm spirals around. So it's going around in a clockwise direction. Is it clockwise? Yeah, it's in a clockwise direction. But it's reaching not towards the floor, but parallel to the floor. Or if I'm doing it here, I'd be reaching. It's like as if you were standing, you'd be reaching up in the air. Reaching up in the air. Okay, now as you do that, can you look at your hand? Can you look at your hand reaching? Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Which isn't so easy to do these days. Okay, just come back now, resting on the floor. bend up your knees once again. Right knee, sorry, right knee once again. And this time just turn your head to the right, or not to the right, to the left. Turn your head to the left. And as you turn your head to the left, can you stay there and then lift up your chin so that so that your head slides on the floor a little bit. So you're lifting your chin, and then let your head kind of as if you wanted to look at something up in the air or behind you. So your chin is moving away from your chest and you're looking up at something behind you. Okay, and then come back to the middle. Okay, turn your head to the left again and slide, so like your chin's looking up towards the ceiling, so your head's sliding back a little bit and you're looking up. Okay, so, and just do that a few times, just feeling. And what we're going to do now is add that movement to what we're doing. So begin the movement of, just come back to neutral. Begin the movement of pressing your foot into the floor so your pelvis starts to lift. Let your arms slide across your body, up through the middle. Just remember to start keeping your arm close to your body. Come back again, we'll start again. So that when you bring your hand up, it's not just lifting it up in the air, it's just brushing it against your body so that the organisation happens through you. And then bring it up parallel. Now, when you're getting to this point, you start to push through your foot, lift your shoulder a little bit, and turn your hand, and let that little movement with your head of turning your head towards the left and the chin away from the chest, looking up at your hand. And then coming back. And then coming back and starting again, pushing through your foot, lifting the right side of your pelvis, sitting how the ribs move, bringing your hand up over your body, crushing it close to your body, bring it up in front of your face, parallel to the floor, then lifting your elbow as you turn your hand, reaching up and letting your head turning, looking at your hand, and then coming back down again. And bringing your hand down by your side. And let that go and bring your leg down and rest. And sensing how you're lying on the floor now. How does the right side of you feel and the left side? Notice your breathing. Notice the parts of you that are pressing down more into the floor or not. Everyone's experience will be different. Just maybe raise your hand if you can feel any differences in the two sides of your body. Yeah, okay. So sometimes in the Feldenkrais Way, we leave a lesson on one side, and in this lesson, Basil did do this, but because I don't have you in person here to watch you, and there may be people watching this who haven't done much Feldenkrais, so I'll take you through the other side. So have you ever seen those things like the inner game of tennis, where these great sportsmen and things do, they visualize in their mind, the perfect shot, and then their brain calibrates that, and it's a very effective way of moving. So Feldenkrais many years ago did this just with the imagination. So we're just going to do the other side first of all in the imagination. So imagine that you're lifting up your left leg. So your left knee is bent. And imagine you're finding that place where neutral is, where you can move the leg a little bit into the middle, a little bit to the outside, and feeling where can that knee stand and support itself more easily. And then we did a little movement of taking the knee a little bit further in towards the midline, so that the weight started to lift in your buttock. And we had the constraint that, first of all, the ribs aren't involved in that movement. So it's just your buttock that moves, and your foot stays on the floor. The weight may shift a little bit, but you're not lifting your foot at all. So you're bending your knee towards the midline, the left side of your buttock lifts up, and then you release. And the releasing, coming back down, is a settling, a letting go. just as important as the actual movement itself. And pressing through the foot again. This time allow the movement to go a little bit further so that the knee starts to move in the direction of your right foot. The knee pushes, the foot pushes into the floor, the knee goes towards your right foot, and your buttock lifts, your left buttock lifts off the floor, the right buttock gets a little bit closer to the floor, and the ribs on the left side start to become involved in this movement. So they start to lift a little bit, and you may feel your bottom of your sternum slides a little bit towards the other side. And then coming back to neutral, letting, as you release the pressure in your feet, the ribs will come back first, like an unwinding happens. The ribs come back first, the buttocks come back second, and then the weight releases in your foot. Taking the movement again, this time of having a constraint of keeping your shoulders on the floor and your head in the middle. So you start the movement of pushing your foot into the floor, the left knee goes over to the right, the left buttock lifts, the lower ribs start to lift, and you may sense that your ribs can slide underneath or your collarbone and across your shoulder blades. The shoulder blades are staying there and the ribs are moving around them. It's a very subtle movement. It takes a long time. It took me ages to get this. I've had a whiplash injury and I was hit by a truck when I was 21. When I went into the Feldenkrais training, all this upper part of my body was absolutely frozen, and it took me a long time to learn how to differentiate my ribs from my shoulders and spine, actually. So this is a lovely little movement to begin that. So even that movement is a really simple little thing you can do any time in itself. Just lying on the floor, just doing those little movements with your legs is a lovely way of waking up your spine to its spiral design. We've actually designed to move in a spiral pattern. And we get stressed and things start to tighten and we forget who we are. We forget our own divine design, really, and nature's design. Okay, so let's again imagine bending in left knee, taking your knee across to the right so that the knee moves more in the direction of your right foot. The left buttock starts to lift, the left ribs start to lift, and the ribs glide across the shoulder blade. And then you come back down. As you come back down, the upper ribs come back down first, the middle ribs and the lower ribs, and your buttocks and your knee. And your leg, sorry. Okay. Now, imagine now that we'll do the movement with that left side of your body. Just lift up your left leg and just do that much to start with, and just just gently moving your left knee towards the right, just doing that little movement, seeing how you go with that movement. We've done it in your imagination, and we've got the pattern from doing it on the other side, so it doesn't take us long this time to do it on this side. Just feeling what it's like and noticing, can your shoulders stay on the floor or close to the floor without lifting, and only go as far as those shoulders don't lift, just noticing that point where the shoulders may want to release from the floor, and then coming back down one leg at a time. Okay, so just stay there with your knee in that position if you're comfortable like that, or let your legs stay long. Marion, if you want to lower your legs, you can, whatever. Maybe if you're getting uncomfortable, bring your knees over your chest if you feel you need to. Release your lower back. Okay, now imagine that you're bringing your left arm up beside your body. You're brushing your left thigh, bringing it up over your leg, up over your groin, up over your waist, and we'll just go that far first, and then imagine you're bringing it back down again, down to your side, resting on the floor. And letting your hands settle on the floor first. And once again, bringing your arm up over your side of your body, up over your pelvis. Imagine bringing it up over your waist. Imagine bringing it up your chest, up towards your collarbone and up over your face. Letting your elbow hug in towards your body. Bring it up over your nose and up over your your forehead, and then imagine bringing your hand back down again. And letting it rest on the floor. And once again, brushing your hand over your leg, bring it up over your body, up over your groin, bring it up over your waist, up, letting your fingers point up towards your chin, bringing your hand up in front of you so that your forearm, imagining your forearm is parallel to the floor. And if your palm is facing you, and then letting your hand come back down again. And brushing down over your body, lying beside you. And this time, just do that other little movement we did of just lifting your left arm. Imagine lifting your left arm up towards the ceiling, and you're just lengthening your arm so that your shoulder blade slides a little bit away from the spine, and then letting the arm lower, keeping the elbow straight so that the spine, so that your shoulder blade comes closer to the spine. You're just doing that a couple of times, just to remind your body of how your shoulder blades can slide across your ribs. So that's coming forward and coming back. Okay, and just resting from that. And now let's imagine both of these movements. Oh, actually, we'll do the arm one a little bit further. Just the arm movement once more, bring it up over your body, brushing it up over the middle of your body. Your arm comes up in front of your face, and then imagine that lifting your elbow up in the air. Remember how we did that, lifting so that your shoulder blade lifts off the floor, and then reaching your elbow up so your palm rotates out. And then imagine bring it back. So the arm comes beside you on the floor. And one more little movement. Imagine that you're turning your head towards the right this time. So you're imagine you're turning your head towards the right, and that your chin is coming a little bit away from your spine, so the back of your head slides back, as if you could look up at that arm that you're reaching for. So this is the other component of that movement. And now we're going to imagine all of the parts together. So we start off with the foot, pressing into the floor, taking the knee across towards the midline, lifting the buttock on the left-hand side, lifting the ribs, starting to bring the arm up, imagining the moment when you need to bring the arm up over your body so that your elbow is in the air and your forearm is parallel to the floor, lifting the elbow, starting to turn the head towards the right, to slide the back of your head and look to the chin lift and looking towards that left arm. And then coming back, letting the head come back first, the arm come down, the shoulder come down, the ribs come down, and the pelvis comes down. And then maybe just do that movement, just see what it's like to actually do the movement. So you begin the movement of starting with the movement with your left foot, pressing, taking your knee across to the right, bring your hand up across your body, and finding the moment when your elbow comes into the air, and you can push through that foot, bring the elbow up into the air so that your hand stays parallel to the floor all the time, and you turn your head to look at that hand reaching up behind you. And then coming back down, turning your head to start with, letting the arm, shoulder come down, the arm, your ribs, your pelvis. Maybe if you'd like, just do that a couple of times just to feel that movement. Learning to move with ease and grace. First, let's slow down the pace. Getting in touch with the feelings within, all struggle and effort erase from your face. Yes, you can move with ease. Follow your instincts if you please. how you did move with joy when you were a little girl or boy, spiraling with such grace. Of effort there was no trace. You knew how to self-assert, how to move without any excess work. Your pelvis could rock and roll. You felt power in your pelvic bowl. Then your neck could be free in any direction for you to see. Now you can move with ease and grace. First, let's slow down the pace. Getting in touch with the feelings within, all struggle and effort erase from your face. And let's just do the movement once more. Let's just add a sound to this movement now. So in that movement, you start the pressing into your foot and just letting out a, and then come back and then releasing. You let the breath come in. And as you start pressing into the foot, pressing your foot into the floor and feeling your belly expand. And as you release, coming back, letting the air come back in again. And I'll just turn this off. So that's, yeah. And then once again, so you take a breath in to start with, and the in-breath happens as you release back to the floor. And then on the out-breath, you push through the floor and and then when you get to the run out of air, let the head come back, and you start to breathe in with that movement and coming back to the floor. And let your belly expand on the in-breath. And once more, breathing, taking a breath in, breathing out. And then letting the breath come in once again. And bending up your right knee now, and just coming back to that right side. And just trying the movement now on this other side, just feeling what it's like to push through the foot, to bring your arm up, and just doing the movement on this side once or twice. And when you've got the movement, coming back down. And as you're coming back down, you're breathing in. That's a releasing part, the opening up. And as you breathe out, So this opening here allows your chest to open and let out all these feelings. I think that's what's happening. We're all stuck in our homes and not talking to anybody, so we're not letting out our feelings. And so I like to add the sound at the end of the Feldenkrais lesson, the sound is an amazing way of connecting into the ground as well. And we're meant to express our feelings, we're meant to express what's in our heart. And so this is a lovely lesson for just opening the heart as well and allowing out those feelings. And the pressing through the foot, sound comes out on an out breath. And the more we're connected to the earth, the more powerful that sound can be. And just have a little rest and let your legs come down. And sensing how you're lying on the floor now, noticing your breathing. And feeling the emotional state that you are in now, and how your mind is moving, whether it's calmed down a little bit. So we're going to take this movement into coming up off the floor now and sitting and standing. So I'm going to take these earphones off, and I want you to just tell me if you can still hear me. Can you hear me? Okay. So I can't hear you without those, well, at the moment, but we'll sort that out when we'll come back to the floor in a minute. So to get up off the floor, some of you know how to do this, but I'll just, what I'll do is just, I've got a, next, I'll just put this on the floor so I think it's hard with me with the black on to see, to actually see what I'm doing. So to get up off the floor, we're going to use this idea of the spiral. So first of all, just roll to whichever side you like to get up onto. Like I'm going to roll over to my left side and then bring myself to sitting like this. Then I'm going to put across my legs. The leg that's behind, I put that hand on the floor. The leg that's in front, it just like, it's standing on the floor with the foot down like this. So I'm kind of like, not like that, but more like this. Then I'm going to bring my hand out to the side, this other hand out to the side and look at it. And I'll show you first and I'll come back and do it with you. So I'm looking at my hand. When I get to about here, I can feel that the weight wants to come onto that front foot. So I let the weight come onto the front foot. I keep looking down. I'm bringing this hand down to the other hand and I'm coming up to standing like that. And if this is impossible for you, don't do it. But so I'll come back down on the floor and show you this again. So the hand, whenever you cross your legs, whichever one is behind, that hand goes on the floor. The other hand comes out to the side. I'm looking at my hand and coming up to standing. Okay. Now, I think I need to put this up. I'm just going to try and come into a position. So can you hear me still? Just give me a little, yeah, okay. So now we're going to take what we did on the floor into standing. So just do a little movement of turning to one side, feeling how your pelvis moves first, your shoulder can move next. And then, so we're just doing this little movement like this, and then to the other side, turning like that. And then in your heel, turn around. Letting your heel turn around. And so if it's too much for you, Marion, just watch. And you can just imagine, okay, you're doing okay. There's that movement, okay. Okay, so now just come back to the middle again. And remember this little movement we did, the hand, reaching up with the hand, bringing your elbow up in front of you, looking at your hand, and then taking your elbow out and reaching up, looking at your hand. And then bring it back down, and coming back down. And then looking at the hand again, reaching up, the other one, and bring it back down. Now adding the movement to the pelvis to this, so we're reaching up. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can. Reach out and touch somebody's hand. Make this world a better place if you can.